All right, guys. So here in module 4, as the journey continues, I kind of want to talk about, as I talked about in the last video, how you have to really be ready to be narcissistic, prepare for success, be focused on yourself, have the journey be about you. Kind of realize that everyone's going to have to come, put on the back burner. I know that's hard and challenging. But this is also the time where I say you keep little small promises to yourself. Over time, you'll start to build more confidence. It'll be easier for you to stay the course, easier for you to make decisions for yourself that serve you versus decisions that don't serve you. But until you've built up that confidence, it's really important that you don't put yourself into the lion's den prematurely. You know, it's one thing about this protocol. I think one of the biggest complaints about it, because it does require very strict adherence, and in order to do that, sometimes it can be a very isolating protocol, which means you kind of have to excuse yourself from events, birthday parties and anniversaries, that be put aside for a while, and postponed for another time. And sometimes that's challenging. Weddings, graduations, all these events that put you in a position where you're going to be around foods that aren't on your protocol, other people kind of coaxing you to go ahead and it's okay, one bite won't hurt you, and you kind of know the truth that it will, but yet you give in because of that challenge of loving yourself enough to say no. And that's why I say if you get people on your page, let them know what you're doing, you'll get less pushback from people, but ultimately it's still up to you. It's not their responsibility to navigate the protocol for you. It's for you to suit up and show up for yourself. And it's going to be challenging to do that consistently all the time. Ideally, I'll tell you what I did and what Janie did in the beginning, we did isolate. I said no to every invitation. I didn't go to any events. I think once we had built some confidence, we'd been on it for about 3 weeks. We went to a birthday party. We brought our own dishes to eat, and ate with them, but ate our own foods. And then when they broke out the desserts and everything, Jane and I looked at each other and went, "Okay, time to go." And so we left, but we had to choose ourselves first. And that is what I'm going to encourage you in this video, is that it's very easy to step outside these guidelines when you're surrounded around people that are going to not have the same sense of urgency that you do. And so I encourage you that if you can, look into your calendar ahead of time. Look to see what events are going to come up. Post what these events are in the comment section of the group so we can actually give you some ways to navigate them. Come on to the live calls so I can give you some specific things to do to navigate certain events. If there is something that's coming up, we may even choose to do a planned break if it's a long event or a short vacation that you can't seem to avoid. But hopefully you have nothing in your way that's going to stop you from doing your straight 90 to 120 days of reshaping your body, reshaping your life. But in the meantime, it is going to require you to say no. And that is something that all of us need to learn how to be able to say easier. That, no, I can't do it this time. Sorry, I'm on this really strict protocol. I hired a coach and we're on a plan to transform my body in the next 120 days. And I need to stay focused. I love you. I send you my wishes. I'm sending you a card in the mail or a gift over, but I physically can't be there today. As you're on the protocol long enough, you will have the confidence and the strength and the willpower to navigate these waters. But in the beginning, the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, I really urge you to try to avoid these circumstances as much as possible. The setbacks are not really worth it. The self-talk that happens after a setback, the guilt, the shame that you attach to it, does more damage than if you had just stayed home. I promise you that. And one of the things we're going to be working on is that self-talk and that conversation about, beating yourself up and have that negative loop. You know, it's bad enough to think something poorly about yourself. It is 10 times, 100 times worse when it comes out of your mouth. So if you call yourself fat, or if you call yourself names, or you speak disparagingly about yourself, if you say negative things about yourself, if you have people in your circle of influence that say negative things about you, this is when you need to shift the environment and surround yourself around like-minded people that will raise you up and not put you down. Hopefully you'll find a tribe here in this group where you'll have people that will support you. And the only way they can support you is they have to let them know that you need the support by speaking up and saying, hey, I'm having a challenge right now. And it's always better to speak the challenge out loud while it's happening. A lot of times before my private clients, before they actually crash and burn or have a moment where they find themselves stepping outside the protocol or having a cheat meal or a cheat day or a binge, it's usually the conversation started days and hours ahead of time before that. And they started hearing themselves have these conversations, and then all of a sudden those conversations just turn into, it's almost like you talk yourself into the next stage of what's happening, and then all of a sudden a negative loop comes in and go, well, you only lost a half a pound this morning, it's really not working for you anyway. And it's very easy to start talking yourself into that negative, talking yourself into self-sabotaging. So what I want you to do as you're on this journey is I want you to remember that you're in it for you, you're in it to win it, you're in it to come out the other side as your best version of yourself. And I promise you what happens is once you start to see the progress, to see the success you're having, once you actually achieve your goal, there's no better feeling than realizing that you walked through fire to get there and you came out the other side, that you dealt with all of the obstacles, you dealt with the temptations, you dealt with, you know, the saboteurs in your life, and you're self-sabotaging yourself. You dealt with all of the things that would normally come up and surface and get in your way. You actually dealt with them and you made a different choice for yourself. You chose a different route, a different option. You didn't go down the same old route. The fact you're still here in Module 4 listening to these videos, still following through the plan, means you got past some obstacle that you would normally wouldn't have gotten past at this point. In some cases, some of you go 2 weeks, you would have already quit, you know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks into your journey, and you're still here, you're still doing the work, you're still showing up. That means you have already changed who you are this much, right? And every little change, every little day, every little time, opportunity you choose to show up for yourself, you're going to be stronger, happier, a better human being. You're going to show up differently for your kids. You're going to show up differently for your spouse. You're going to show up differently for yourself, show your coworkers. They're going to recognize it's not just you getting leaner and fitter and healthier. They're realizing that you're becoming a happier human being. So guess what? When you're realizing you're doing things to love yourself, to get to the other side of what you've been trying to get to for quite some time, you show up as a happier human being. And you treat people better because you feel better about yourself. We always say that how we treat people is a mirror image of how we look and see ourselves. And if we're unhappy with ourselves, we usually treat people in a negative way, or how we feel. And the better you feel, the better you show up, the better you treat other people. So I wanted to plug this video in here to tell you that temptation is going to be around you all the time. And you have to build the strength and the stamina to be able to be around and withstand that temptation. And in order to do that, in the beginning, you're going to have to isolate yourself and protect yourself from that environment, because you just may not be strong enough to withstand it. Most people aren't. Most people cave early in the protocol. For the people that are brand new, they'll be stronger at it because they're experiencing something for the first time. They're experiencing their body release body fat in such a rapid way for the first time that they're doing happy dances most of the time until that slows down. That's when this conversation sets in. Excuse me. I always tell my clients that the coaching doesn't start until you start showing up the way you showed up before, right? So the first week or two, I let my private clients, I just monitor what they're doing. I give them thumbs up and guidance and a little pat on the back. because I realize that I know that it's a matter of days or weeks when something's going to not happen their way. The scale's not going to move, or they're going to stall, or they're gonna have a temptation and step outside the protocol and get smacked, and then they're gonna go, ah. And then that's when the real work sets in. That's when the conversation sets in. That's when you start having the inner dialogue about how are you feeling, what are you feeling, happy, sad, mad, glad, or afraid. I want you to write those down. That's gonna be your mantra every day. You're going to ask yourself, how are you feeling? I want you happy, sad, mad, glad, or afraid. When you're thinking about stepping outside the protocol, ask yourself, what are you feeling? Happy, sad, mad, glad, or afraid. Write it down. You'll see that a pattern will emerge. You'll see that there's a pattern of 1 or 2 moods that dominate the rest. And those are the moods that you're trying to avoid, the feelings you're trying to avoid in order to not go into whatever memory or thought process that a feeling is connected to. And the work that we're doing in this journey, in this program, is identifying what those feelings are, what that energy is, locating where the energy shows up in your body. And sometimes it shows up in the same place, sometimes it'll show up in different places. And then we're going to figure out if how big that energy is. Is it the size of a basketball or the size of a marble? And then we're going to show you how to process that energy and let it go. Because as you let go the energy out of your body, there goes the fat out of your body. And as you let it go, when you release the energy, the fat doesn't come back. If you stuff the energy and force it just to go someplace else, or just to shrink down into the fat cell, it will fill up and come back because you never released it. This process, we're not just here to shrink fat cells temporarily. We're here to empty them of all that negative energy, all that fear energy, all that anger energy, all that sad energy, and even with the happy energy that's triggering you to celebrate with food. Whatever energy that doesn't serve you, our goal is to release that energy from your body so you can come out the other side and live in the body of your life. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.